Joining me now is David Gilbert, reporter for Wired, and Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion. Thank you both for being here. David Gilbert, welcome to the show. Please tell us, Wired, you guys have been doing, honestly, some of the best reporting on this and on who these guys are. Walk us through some of the personnel who are now running our government. The Doge guys.
I think, Joy, you kind of laid it out quite well. These guys are... Most of them are just out of college. Some of them haven't finished college. One of them is a teenager who hasn't even gone to college, has just finished high school. Edward Corsetine, or as he's known online, Big Balls. These guys have quite a lot of links to Trump and Peter Thiel. They've either interned or worked with some of his companies. Some of them have worked with multiple of his companies. And while a lot of them have shown a lot of skill, as Trump was talking about, and are good with computers, I guess, if you want to put it like that, they have zero experience of working with real systems. And when you talk to experts in government systems, I was talking to the founder of the USDS earlier this week, and he was looking at one of these dozers, and he was saying that he would not put him in charge of any system that had any serious personal data involved with it. And I think that's the real danger, is that these guys have never worked with systems like this before, yet they're being granted, as you said, God access to this system and can do pretty much whatever they want with it.
And God mode access, can you explain that a little bit more for our non-tech savvy viewers? I mean, does this mean that they could upload malware or download the data that they're getting access to? And we're talking about like personal data of Americans.
Yeah, I think it's the downloading of data and the manipulation of data is what is really worrying here. Initially, when we reported on this, the pushback was that they only had read access, which meant they could see the information, but they couldn't really do anything about it. But we had reporting, we knew that that wasn't the case, that at least one of them had read-write access to this information, which means they can manipulate and change and potentially take the data out of the agencies they're in and send it to another agency or send it somewhere else. And because there's no oversight, there's no transparency, we don't know where that goes. The government has finally ultimately admitted in court that this is the case, but we still really don't know what they're doing with the data. And we've been trying to report this out, but there's this kind of veil of or lack of transparency around exactly what they're doing. And that's, I think, really worrying.
Right. And Tim, I think, for ordinary people hearing about this, the thought of that is if they could take $80 billion out of New York City's bank account, just take it. They could take money out of any bank account or any bank. They could stop someone's Social Security or lots of people's Social Security, or nick some money off of the Social Security payments, or delay them, or prevent them, or end Medicaid payments to states. I mean, you think about manipulation of data. Can we trust the data coming out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics when they report the unemployment rate, right? If Donald Trump wants it to be 2%, will it be 2%? If he wants it to be, we have 0% unemployment, could it be that? Could they manipulate census data? Like, there's so many things they could theoretically do. And then, to me, one of the others to think about is whether they could take the data and just use it, or have Elon Musk have access to it to create his AI, which is launching next week.
Well, the tether in all of this, and in David's great reporting and the questions you're asking, is that one word that keeps coming up, which is data. And there is so much data centralized in the federal government, and it's become simpler and simpler to access that from single points. There was a long, I think, period of time when a lot of that data was siloed. There was competition between agencies. It wasn't seen as efficient to have some of this housed in different federal agencies and departments. And in recent, I think probably since 9/11, there's been real efforts to centralize access to data, certainly national security and intelligence data, but even just management data. And I think that's why Musk and his crew occupy the Office of Personnel Management as one of their first sort of stakeouts when they entered the Trump administration, because they can do so much from there. I think it's also really useful to think about the world that Musk himself inhabits now, because there's a population of digital entrepreneurs who are close to this government and operating within it, and they are a very distinct business class. Businesses have always been close to the U.S. government, going back to the Gilded Age, Howard Hughes in the 70s. But this is a population of business people that see government as essentially getting in the way. They see their own business activities as boundaryless and global. And I think they see this as a useful moment to solidify this, not just in the U.S., but as a model elsewhere, which is why you have so many other governments trying to emulate, MAGA and MAGA as an anti-government authoritarian movement. And in the U.S. right now, that's being allied with the business interests of a small clique of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. And the other thing is that business isn't a government is not a business. Government provides a lot of services that don't have bottom line orientations and have long-term goals. Public works, public health, defense. Those are enterprises either businesses don't want to get involved with or can't actually operate. So this idea that they're also going to come in with a business-minded approach to these, and that will necessarily make government more efficient, is also a very murky and unproven perspective.
Yeah, because government is designed to help people. That doesn't always involve making a profit. And David, OPM, I think it's important that Tim mentioned OPM because from a repertorial point of view, OPM I don't believe is foiable, right? So if they were, and they're operating out of the White House too, they have what White House apparently EOP, .eop emails. And so it's very difficult to get at them because you can't do a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, because they're operating in a way that's savvy that way. But can you talk about that and the challenge of trying to report on who these people are? And also the fact that they're working in these systems that I think anyone who sort of has some familiar with the government, they're like old. These are not like brand new, spanking new computer systems that are really hard to manipulate or hack.
Yeah, like one of the things that came out this week was the fact that the Social Security Administration databases are built primarily on COBOL, which is a 60-year-old programming language that none of these engineers would ever have any interaction with, during their education or their brief periods of internship at SpaceX. And for them to go in and try and plug their laptops in, because they're carrying their own laptops into these places, and plug in and try and figure out what is going on. They don't know. And that's how you end up with Elon Musk and Donald Trump claiming that 150-year-old people are claiming benefits. They don't understand the systems. They don't understand the data they're getting back out of them, which is terrifying given that they're now in charge. And it's absolutely what you said about trying to find out what exactly they are doing with the data is really, really difficult, because what we found out is that within the agencies, they are siloed in very specific teams. There's typically a couple of people from the DOGE agency together with some people from that would have been at the agency already. And they work as a very cut off or individual team within those agencies. And so finding more information out about that is difficult. And then what we've seen maybe in the course of the last week is the fact that people are now paranoid. People are worried about speaking up. Yeah. Initially, there was a lot more ease about speaking up, but people are now worried about their jobs. People are worried about getting caught, and there's been threats being made against them. And that is, making it even more difficult to find out what's happening.
Yeah, indeed. It doesn't help that the D.C. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin is threatening people and claiming that anyone who's even exposing the identities of these people is somehow threatening them and may be guilty of a crime. It is scary stuff. David Gilbert, please come back. You guys are doing such great reporting. Tim O'Brien, our friend, thank you.